Hi, Adriana. Let's take a look at this this essay you've sent us. Okay. Let's see. Increasing the price of petrol is the best way to solve the growing traffic and pollution problems. To what extent do you agree or disagree? Let's see what you said. What other measures do you think would be effective? Okay. 2 questions here. Let's see how you answered them. It is argued that the accelerating price of petrol is having an extremely positive impact on the environment here, since the amount of pollution has been mitigated and rising traffic issues have been tackled. From a personal perspective, I utterly concur with aforementioned notion. Okay, this should be, we don't really say I utterly concur. Both vocabulary words are very nice, but they don't really fit together. They're not considered a collocation. So you could say I completely concur, but not I utterly concur. And then it should be with the aforementioned notion. In the following paragraphs, this essay will succinctly discuss cardinal reasons that support my viewpoint and then propose viable alternatives as to ameliorate the situation. Okay, it's fine. I can see that you have a good range of vocabulary, and that's great. What I want you to remember is that sometimes simpler is better. Okay. Because, like, for example, you didn't really need to say, this will succinctly discuss cardinal reasons. You could have just said this more simply. You've already shown us that you know some nice vocabulary words, so it's not important to do it in every single sentence. And there are some sort of stock phrases in essay writing that are stock because they work. So you could have just really said here, this essay will discuss, yeah, I would have gotten rid of the succinctly, and then just say, this essay will discuss cardinal reasons, or not even cardinal reasons, the main reasons, okay? So I don't want you to feel this pressure to use these advanced vocabulary words with every single opportunity. Really, simpler is many times is better, okay? All right, just keep that in mind. So let's move on. To begin with, transport plays a pivotal role nowadays, since traveling by car has wrong tense here, become affordable for everyone, and the number of vehicles on the roads has dramatically increased in the last decades. Okay, your tenses are wrong. A myriad of people daily commute by car to their workplaces. The roads are excessively clogged by a plethora of vehicles, especially during rush hours. As a result, the amount of exhaust fumes and pollution has risen. Okay, wrong tense here again. This is incorrect form of the tense, but it's the wrong tense. Has risen tremendously. Why are we using present perfect? Because it's something that started in the past, and we can feel its effects today. So this past perfect here is, the form is wrong, but the tense is wrong as well. If the majority of society had used public transport, individuals would not have faced tough... This is an interesting one, because what you've done is good. Okay, it's a third conditional, which is advanced, and you've done it appropriately, and I like it. But like I said before, there's really no reason for this all to be in the past. It all has effects in the present, and so a different conditional would be more appropriate here. So if the majority of society used public transport, individuals would not face tough issues regarding commuting daily, because these are things that even exist today. Okay? For example, a person driving an hour to work every single day spends a huge amount of expenses for petrol and produces immense now we don't say immense carbon footprints, but we just say an enormous carbon footprint. All right? Okay, now let's talk a little bit about, you know what, let's not talk about it yet. Let's wait till the end of your essay and then we'll talk about it. Okay, I wanted to mention something about task achievement. We'll talk about it at the end. So, nevertheless, a viable solution is to encourage people to use public transport more frequently, or is to encourage people to encourage people more frequently to use public transport, one or the other. Yet, it will probably be more time-consuming than traveling by car. To elucidate, the government could enhance the quality of roads throughout the country and implement special prices of tickets for students and elderly citizens. If this kind of approach had been bolstered, society would not have needed to overcome current issues. Okay. To demonstrate, youths using cars every day would be extremely pleased to benefit from alleviated prices of public transport, and simultaneously this kind of approach will uplift the environment. To summarize, as has been noted, I completely agree with the augmentation of prices for petrol in favor. I don't know about this. I don't know how to fix this. I wouldn't say in favor to. It's inappropriate. So I completely agree with the augmentation of prices for petrol, just to diminish the current worrying trend. Nonetheless, numerous measures can be carried out in order to encourage people to use other modes of transport rather than car. Okay, fine. So what I want to talk about here is what I said before, task achievement. So you had a couple of questions here. You had two questions specifically. To what extent do you agree or disagree that increasing the price of petrol is the best way to solve these problems? And then what other measures might be effective? You definitely talked about this. Said that there were two measures. You said enhance the quality of roads and reduce the price of tickets for certain groups. Okay? What I would have liked here is for you to develop that a little more. So, for example, you talked about what would happen if they did use it, primarily the public transport. But I also would have liked to know how the quality of roads would have helped. So it seems like you focused quite a bit on the public transport aspect, but you didn't really talk about how enhanced roads would also solve this problem. Okay, so I wanted that a little more developed. Now, let's talk about what for me is the bigger problem here, and it's the way you approached this question. To what extent do you agree or disagree? According to your introduction, you said that you absolutely agree that you agree with this idea that petrol should be raised. So my question is, where did you talk about this? Okay, from what I could read in your paragraph, and I went over it a couple of times, you actually did not. So what you basically explained to us is what's going on and how cars have increased the pollution in the environment. Okay, and then you talked about public transport. And how it would solve commuting and how it would reduce our carbon footprint. But that's not what the question asked you. The question said, how would increasing the price of petrol solve traffic and pollution? So that element of the essay is really missing here. And you didn't have to do something major to fix it. What you could have done here is just, for example, you could have put a sentence here. Actually, I would have liked a little more, but just based on what you wrote, you could have said that increasing the price of petrol would solve this because then people would be forced to take public transport, and then et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All these things would have been fixed. Another thing you could have done here is, because you talk about the car becoming affordable, you could have included it here. Okay, it's kind of like a temptation to use your car. So you could have said that this temptation would be alleviated, or this temptation would be reduced to use people's cars, that is, if petrol were more expensive. So you have to mention it in your essay because that's what they're asking you to talk about. Supposedly you agree with this, and from what I could see, you really just focused on public transport and not what the essay has asked you to talk about. So while you've written a very nice essay in many aspects, you haven't really addressed the question as it needed to be addressed. You had to focus on this and really zero in on it and how this could be effective, okay? And when you're structuring that paragraph, you really need to have that as a guide for the development of your essay, okay? So, Adriana, keep all of that stuff in mind. I want to see more essays from you. I want to see how you can apply the suggestions that I have made in this correction, and see what you write next. I'm wishing you lots of good luck. I hope that you'll sign up for more essay corrections. I definitely think that they could benefit you. So let's see if you could find a package that works for you, and I look forward to seeing more of your essays.